Oh, there's a mistake. And the Americans have gone back into the lead because that is a minimum of 4 faults now for Michael Whitaker. And he's not through the course.
No, he's got 2 very tough parts still coming up. Horse is looking a little crazy coming down to these Liverpools.
Safely through both.
He really is having a tough time. That horse throwing his head around means that that horse doesn't like the idea of being rated back.
And now the turn toward home for Michael Whitaker of Great Britain.
Now here's one spot in the course where he doesn't want to rate him back. He wants to get a good head of steam coming to the water.
That's done. And the final jump is accomplished, but the one jump down results in 4 faults for Michael Whitaker, a time of 106.51. The Americans are back in the lead, followed by Great Britain with the French still in striking distance. We'll return to Aachen right after this. Jump.
One of the biggest problems in riding jumpers is for a rider not to make a stride adjustment far enough back in order to end up at the ideal takeoff spot. Now that requires incredible depth perception on the part of the rider and instant response on the part of the horse. Now that ideal spot is about as far away from the jump as the jump is high. Any closer, and it's difficult or impossible for a horse to get its front legs out of the way of that top rail. So if horse and rider are still on the ground when they're here, they've got a real problem.
Here's your first look at one of the French riders, Michel Robert, riding Lafayette. The French still a factor in this team championship. In the first round, 9.44 faults and 4 faults in the second round.
And Michel is their best rider. He's had more experience than any of the other ones, and if any one of them can pull it off, it'll be him.
He needs to have a clean ride for the French to maintain a striking chance of winning this team championship.
Now, he got deep to that fence. That was too close. Now, the horse jumped it, but it wasn't an ideal ride on the rider's part.
The wall. You mentioned a British style. Robert, is there a French style of riding?
It's a very smooth style. You can see that he's not moving his hands around as much as the British riders were. It's a lot closer to the Americans.
Now the triple.
Ooh, that's not like the Americans.
Oh, that's 4 faults for Michel Robert. Do those jumps, when contact is made, hurt the horses at all?
Well, they feel it. They don't like it. It doesn't hurt them in the sense of injuring them, but they sure would rather clear them than hit them.
Let's see if he can clear this double coming up. No, he can't. Now, what was his problem there?
Well, we were talking about the smooth style. You want to be as quiet as possible, but still effective. And he wasn't effective. What he didn't do was rate that horse back far enough so that he wasn't so close when he took off with the jump.
8 faults so far for Michel Robert, and the French chances may be disappearing with this ride. The water and the final jump coming. Couldn't get the final, and that's 12 faults in the course. The total faults 13.75 for Michel Robert. His time 116.68. Look back at what happened in that triple.
Well, here he's been a little too smooth with his legs. At that point, you really have to push the horse over that back rail, and he didn't quite do that enough.
Next up for the United States, Michael Matz. And Frank Chapot, the coach, is talking with him.
Don't worry so much about the time, but, you know, because you were plenty of time last time.
Same pace.
Same pace was good. Pace was good.
Did I do anything to that wall this time?
I can't see where you can do
I
that.
felt like I rode it okay.
It looked like you got there good.
There's a widespread perception that the sport of horse jumping requires an aristocratic background. Michael Matz disagrees.
This sport does have a little bit of a stigma to it called like a sport of kings, but I don't think this is very true because I got started in this sport in a way that I worked as a groom, and I worked my way up from grooming horses to riding when I could ride a little bit of horses, and one thing I found out that I could ride as good as anybody else could.
Well, that really is true. A lot of us in 1976, when we were watching the Olympics, saw a lot of Princess Anne riding in the competition. And the assumption is that it does take royalty to do the riding. But that's not true at all.
I don't have to call you Prince.
No, you sure don't.
Michael Matz on board Chef.
Okay, now you heard his comments just before he went in the ring. He's worried about the wall, which is coming up in 2 jumps. He had that down in the first round, as of many horses. That top block really comes off easily.
Here's the wall. Just nicked it, but it's perfect.
It's
no
still
falls.
there. Now, Frank Chapeau told him ride it the same as he did the first round. Michael didn't, and I think that was good because he was a little bit more careful.
Michael Matz for the American team, approaching the difficult triple combination. Well done.
Michael's had a lot of pressure on him. He's not only in a bad situation right now, he needs this clean round for the team, but psychologically he's been in a little bit of a downer. His father died 3 weeks ago, and he's having to throw that out of the back of his mind. And he's obviously doing that.
Michael Matz, 35 years of age, trying to get a clean ride for the American team in pursuit of their first ever team championship at the World Horse Jumping Championships. And he's not far from accomplishing that. One more. He got it, and his American teammates love the effort. Conrad Homfeld, Katie Monahan, Catherine Birdsall. For Michael Matz, a time penalty of .25, his time 1:10.06. And the team standings now have the Americans on top, followed by Great Britain with the team from France third. Back in a minute. Malcolm Pyra next up for Great Britain. If he knocks down one rail, the Americans will clinch the gold. He's the veteran of the British team. He's 45 years of age next month. Malcolm Pyra. In his first 2 rounds, 2.14 faults and then 4.5 faults, and he's aboard Towerland's Anglesark.
I'll tell you, Malcolm's been in this kind of a situation before. There is a lot of pressure. It's one sport where if you make a mistake, nothing you can do later on in the course can wipe that mistake away.
Are you conscious of that position while you're out there on the course?
Look,
Whoops.
that block on the wall, it almost fell. If that falls anytime before he finishes the course, even if the wind blows it down right now, he's going to get 4 faults.
So far, it has not.
And that's still there.
And here comes the triple. Yes. Yes again.
And you see, look at his hands. We're talking about style between him and the French rider. The French rider was very smooth, but it didn't work. Malcolm, he's really jerking on the reins and doing all these things, but they're all constructive adjustments. He's not bothering the horse by doing it, but he's putting the horse in the right spot every time.
Thus far, and still a clean ride.
Taking a little breather here. What he's trying to do is really rest the horse while he's jumping, which sounds kind of at odds with each other, but you really do that. You just let him flow a little bit, because now here comes the tough part again.
Clears the water safely.
Barely.
And over the final hurdle. A clean ride from Malcolm Pyra, a time of 109.92. And that means the Americans still have not yet clinched the gold. Conrad Homfeld is next.
We sure didn't need that British to go clear right after us. That really put a lot of pressure on our 4th rider, Conrad Homfeld. So it's going to be down to the last rider.
And here's the last rider, Conrad Homfeld, riding Abdullah, owned by Sue Williams. .89 in the first round, clean ride in the second round. Anything fewer than 7.56 faults in this ride will clinch the gold for the United States.
And that means that he's got 1 jump in hand. He can knock 1 jump down and still win it for the team.
Conrad Homfeld has been in this spot before. He clinched the team championship in the Los Angeles Olympics in '84.
And that was one of the greatest moments in American jumping. However, when he clinched it, they had such an insurmountable lead that it really was almost a piece of cake to him.
That is not the case here. Homfeld, of course, did win the silver medal as an individual in Los Angeles. And now the U.S. going for its first ever team title at the World Horse Jumping Championships.
A triple combination. Ooh. Easy.
Keep in mind, he has a rail in hand. He can knock down one, but not two.
Now we come in that downhill lie to those big water jumps, which we call Liverpools.
Here they come.
Four faults. Oh, he almost got the back rail there.
Frank
Stayed up, though.
Chapeau can't believe it. Was luck involved in that?
A little bit that second one. He could have had 8 faults very easily right there.
He's got 4 now.
That's all right.
The water jump next. One more. Done. And Conrad Homfeld, 4 faults and a time of 107.29, has given the U.S. its first gold medal in the team competition at the World Horse Jumping Championships. But it was ever so close. He could only afford to have 1 rail down, and he almost had 2. Robert is down with Conrad.
So what did you feel when you had that first rail down?
Depression. No. You know, I thought I had a chance of jumping the rest of the course clean, but the course is so difficult that, you know, any jump there is to be taken seriously, and I had 4 more to go.
Like so, maybe the last one?
Like maybe the last one would be down again.
So what did the finish line feel like when you went through it?
Good. I knew we had it once I made it over the last vertical, so it was quite a nice feeling.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
The United States has won its first gold medal in the team competition at the World Horse Jumping Championships. Great Britain wins the silver, and France takes home the bronze. Michael Matz, Conrad Homfeld, Katie Monahan, and Catherine Birdsall. Individual championships coming up next. But there's more than just a little Wurst mit Brot. No peanuts or popcorn, but you can purchase a crepe with chocolate sauce on it. And for the horse fancier, nothing but the finest, a solarium to keep your horse warm. And yes, believe it or not, a hairdryer for a horse. You can get one right here. Well, it seems a little lavish, but I guess it works. Hi once again, everybody. Vern Lundquist along with Robert Ridlin. We are in the city of Charlemagne, Aachen, West Germany. Our team competition has been concluded, and time now to turn our attention to the individual event. 72 riders began the competition earlier this week. We are down to the final 4, and each of these 4 will ride a different horse in each round. Robert, this really does give this a unique status, doesn't it?
Well, it sure does. Nobody will say at the end of today's competition that the winner won simply because he or she had the best horse. All 4 riders will ride horses they've never ridden before, and the survivor will be the world champion.
Now let's meet the 4 who will compete to determine the best rider in the world.
Gail Greenough, the rookie sensation of the Canadian team and the first woman ever to make the finals of the World Championships. Nick Skelton, the British rider who was the #1 rated rider in the world last year and who just beat out the American Michael Matz for the final qualifying spot. Pierre Durand, the Olympic veteran from the French team, 3rd place finisher in last year's World Cup and the leading qualifier here at Aachen. And Conrad Homfeld, who earlier led the U.S. squad to their first ever team gold in a world championship and America's only hope in the individual final.
2 of the 4 rounds have been completed, and here are the standings. Gail Greenough and Nick Skelton, no fault so far. Conrad Homfeld, 4. Durand, 20. Now, Robert, take us through the course.
We're looking at an aerial view of the course, shorter and less difficult than the team final. First 2 jumps, moderate. Then a long gallop down the main grandstand side to an oxer, which is a width jump. Right-hand turn around the lake, another oxer. Then an immediate downshift to a vertical, which is a single element upright. Left-hand turn, another vertical. Straight ahead, oxer, right-hand turn to the triple combination. Vertical going in, 2 oxers with jumps coming out, and then the finish. Time limit 78 seconds. For every second over the time limit, a rider will be penalized 1/4 of a fault.
First rider up in the third round is the American Conrad Homfeld riding Japalou de Lou.